Okay, recording now. Perfect. There you go. Okay. So first of all, the topic of this is really getting to know what IPL is, which is regardless of what the marketing says for other companies, it's really IPL, intense pulse light. And let's begin. First of all, my content is copyright. Anything that I share with you, you're authorized only to use for yourself. If it's something else, let me know. This is my collective experience. I pretty much lived the life. I taught people, I taught technicians, worked with doctors, and now really looking to cement my name and legacy as as we grow, especially people with you, with Marissa and all of them. And I know like everything that we do will make a difference even for, business survivability for others. So let me begin. For our learning objectives, so it's really getting to differentiate what IPL is compared to lasers because IPL is not a laser, period. When they market all this IPL is a laser, they're wrong. Okay, you can correct them if you want. Now, we're gonna learn selective photothermolysis. It means it's the selecting of the target based on the depth and the wavelength of your device. Now, as you're getting to energy-based devices, we're always looking at chromophores, which are the target. Could be water, melanin, hemoglobin in the blood, and even pigment. So you're gonna learn those. Now, specific to the technology, we're gonna talk to you more about just on how to apply it, the safety, and also tips and pearls. Also knowing what those buttons will do. But in the end, all of the practical stuff we'll reserve when we come out, when we're there on this coming Wednesday. First, what are the properties of an IPL? First of all, it's just, I'm gonna keep this very simple. Just look at a rainbow, okay? That is called non-coherent, okay? And because of that, when you're treating something, it's not really so precise. That's why you have all these different filters that you see that get swapped out. Now, what makes it unique now for technology, especially the Impule that you just um, purchased, is it's very safe because the way you can apply it even to darker skin tone is by being able to deliver a safe pulse and also low energy, just also getting to the right direction. Okay, and I'll explain further. Now, let's compare laser versus IPL. So you can see laser is very intense. As such, it's very targeted to a specific chromophore, which is a target or structure in the body. Like as I mentioned earlier. So you can see here on my diagram here, you see all the selective, you get your chromophores here in the IPL. There's so many of them, but they're not as precise as a laser. It's because the mechanics of an IPL is here. I'm gonna go here, so you can visualize it. Okay, you have a light source, which is this flash lamp. Okay, by the way, when you're using your machine, this thing wears out. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But going back to this flash lamp is the source. Now, in reality, this is just white, intense white light. Now, when you put those filters, right? Now that the ones you swap on, the 515 nanometer, the 530, and all that, now it actually filters out a range. What that means, okay? Very simple. So if we use a 515 nanometer filter, what it does is it cuts off any wavelength, okay, which is below 515, and everything from 515 up to 1200 nanometer, it passes. That is why, unlike laser, you keep stacking, the way when you treat, I mean, which also Marissa can teach on this, it's like when you're not reaching that target and you're not getting the response, then you could use the other filter. So it's not just like one filter, and that's no, that's not the correct method. Okay, and like I said, that will be more that will be shown on our practical applications on that day. Now, like I said, the popularity of IPL is just because it can target so many chromophores, although not the best, but in one machine. Otherwise, picture yourself buying all the machines for Acne, like Adva TX and all this stuff. It gets very expensive, but if you're a beginner anyways, I don't recommend that. That's a waste of money. Okay? All right, moving on. Now, in anything, even with lasers, it's all about where that technology operates, whether it's the visibility of the beam or the energy. So just like lasers, for lasers, it starts off from the UV band, which is the ultraviolet light. So ultraviolet light is common for, like germ disinfection devices, anything that would kill bacteria. For dermatology, it's more for like psoriasis and all these things that even can treat depigmentation of the skin. Now for IPL, the fact that it's an intense pulse light, it's an actual band, which means it can range from 400 to 1200 nanometers. That is why you as a provider, you need to know if you're targeting, look here, okay? Look at the bottom, melanin, you have hemoglobin. Water, it's rarely for water because that's more for like deep infrared, like a erbium laser or a CO2 laser. But in comparison, the versatility of an IPL is just the fact that it can operate from this range. Okay? That's why if you look at IPLs like a lifestyle device, technology, because you can keep coming back for maintenance per se. So as you can see here, okay, thermal absorption, just based on that. Um, and then see here. Okay, moving forward, moving on. Now, as we go deeper into treating your patient, okay, this one thing I want to emphasize, knowing how the energy is delivered. Okay, there's only two ways. Now, you hear of always of a single pulse. Now, single pulse is delivering peaks of energy, very strong energy, right? Just say I want to deliver 50 millijoules to the target. Boom, 50 millijoules. It's delivered. Now, why is this important? Okay, if you're treating me only, certain spots, like more like a one-time stamping method, which is just one shot, very slow, that's fine. Here's a problem. When you're treating people of color, you would not want that. Okay? Because now we have melanin that's competing, okay, with that energy. So, we apply the multi-pulse. Why there's a triple pulse, double pulse. What it does is this, okay? So just say the 50. We want to deliver it, just say for a hair follicle. Okay, we get in there 50. On a skin type 1 to 3, it should be fine because there's really no melanin that got targeted. Okay? Now, with darker skin tone, epidermis, the top layer of the skin, is filled with melanin. So the way we do not overheat the epidermis is now we distribute the energy, that 50, in by different pulses. Okay? Simple terms. Just say you want to like heat up your bathtub, right? So either you fill it up very fast, you get to your temperature 60 degrees Celsius, or you go pour slowly with a little delay, you get there, but you didn't scald. Very simple. Okay? In the end, people, is this. It's your total energy delivered anyways. So why rush? So if our goal for that target is 50 millijoules, and you do it slowly but surely by pulsing, then you're doing it right. you're doing it safe. I hope that's very clear, and I believe I know I did explain that very well. Okay? Because here's one thing before I move to the next slide. Anything with a rest in between is additional cooling down for your target.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure,
Uh, so would you treat this like lighter skin tone? Can you do it faster versus a darker skin tone?
that is
Like,
correct.
okay.
Because there's no competing melanin.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay.
Very nice. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes, I like that. I like that. Okay. All right. Now, this is just a visualization. So you could actually see what the filter does and what it targets. But do not just put this solely on this, because when we train you on the hands-on, you'll notice that you can actually use different filters depending on how your treatment is progressing. Okay? So, hold on, let me move you guys here. You guys are blocking me. Hold on. Okay. So here's my rule, okay? Use the right light at the right time to hit the right target without damaging surrounding tissue. General rule, okay? If your target is 50 millimeters, there's no need to expose the 100 millimeter of the target. As such, we use tongue depressors and also like blocks wherein you can just allow the thing. And like I said, as we progress, we're making improvements to this machine. Maybe in a year or two, we're upgrading it where it's going to be very selective and you're going to have very smaller spot size. Okay. But in my experience, though, it's better wherein you get the full stack. Just block out the target, which whatever means. Yeah, like I said, comments as tongue depressor, and we could discuss more in the hands-on. So now, briefly, let's discuss. See, it's called selective photothermolysis. It's just because based on the wavelength. Okay, it's always about wavelength. All right. Now, since IPL is not a laser, it's actually just mimicking that wavelength that's supposed to be like for us that we'll know anything between 400 to 500. Okay, it's more for pigmentary, and it also even acne. Okay, just like like how you see like the blue light things kind of like purplish, that's actually germicidal. You see here in the wavelength. So that's all it is to it. Nothing to be confused. It's really based on the filter that you use on how it affects the target. All right. Now, as we're going to be treating various Fitzpatrick,